Here we are, standing at Dad's front door. Well, how did we get here? Well, we took trains, planes, and automobiles, and here we are at Dad's front door. He always left it open. We didn't need to ring the doorbell or knock or anything, and just open the door, set down our luggage, walk around the corner. At that point, Dad was just getting up from his Archie Bunker chair. We would hug, and that would start the visit. Now, during the visit, we would sometimes record Dad when we'd interview him with questions. Now, Dale wrote most of the questions. I wrote probably 10%. And we would interview Dad and captured it on video. Now, the video isn't the best quality. We didn't have the best lighting, but I think you can appreciate the kind of the humor that Dad added to some of the things and some insights that we gained from these videos. So let's watch now as Dale asks the first question.
It is February 1st, 2018. I'm here with my father and my son Jeffrey, and we're going to ask some questions. I'm going to start off with birth around in that time. Where were you born?
Warren, PA.
Okay. Year is 1928, April 2nd.
My birth paper, what do you call that? This
Birth certificate.
birth certificate. All it says is Male Munson. They hadn't thought yet of a name for me, and it didn't come official till 1932 when I got an official certificate.
So they just backdated it.
Well, I was a depression
Yeah.
guy, and they didn't really want any kids then, I don't think. They have kids.
So you were just called Male Munson?
Male Munson.
Male Munson.
Yeah.
How or why did your parents give you your name, first and middle?
Oh, well, the first name was from my uncle Virgil.
Bertram? No,
Virgil Smith.
Okay, Virgil Smith.
Yeah, and my middle name from my dad.
Okay. How did your family end up in Irvine?
Well, I don't know. My dad came from Sweden when he was 2 years old,
Yeah.
and his sister Celia lived 2 houses away.
So which one got their house first?
I don't know.
Okay.
She was, I think, 17, and my dad was 2.
Hmm.
So
So, of all of the places that you could live, why Irvine? Did you ever hear from anybody?
Oh,
I mean, how did they get there, of all places?
I know it.
Yeah. Because a lot of the Swedes live in Minnesota today.
Yeah. Well, it depends on where they get off the boat,
Yeah.
too.
But they must have come through
Ellis Island.
Ellis Island, yeah. That's where the Statue of Liberty is. What's your earliest memories of your home? What do you remember when you were really young?
We had a average home for Irvine. It wasn't bad looking.
Okay.
I see a lot of people on TV now want that type of
Yeah.
home.
Describe the house that you grew up in. Like how many bedrooms, bathrooms, all that stuff.
Well, it was 2 bedrooms upstairs, and we had a living room and a room beside it where we, every once in a while, if we had company, that's where the so-called dining room was, and it was quite large.
Yeah,
You
I
put-
remember that.
Yeah, you could probably put 12.
As a matter of fact, the dog would only go so far and stop.
I know it.
Wouldn't
yeah.
go into that room.
Yeah.
I remember.
Well, we didn't even heat it in the wintertime.
Uh-huh. And how did you heat the house?
With we had coal in a coal stove sitting in the sitting room.
You know, upstairs, how did the heat get up there then? Or
Gravity.
okay.
My room was where my grandpa used to lay. Up against the wall was a spot where he breathed up against that wall, and he used chewing tobacco and stuff, and I think it came from his breath that made that round spot there on the wall.
So tell me about him, because you said your grandfather.
Yeah, grandfather.
So he had to come from Sweden too then.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, you didn't know him for very long at all.
He had Alzheimer's anyway.
Yeah. Did you have a refrigerator or an ice box?
Neither.
Oh, you had the cold cellar.
Yeah, cold cellar was probably 70 down there, you know.
So where did your mom store anything that had to be preserved? Where did that go?
Mom had a tough life, because in that same room there where the stove was, there was a pantry in there, and we had a door. You could walk across this door,
I remember that.
and then you could pick it up, and then go down the cellar.
Yeah.
But the stairs were like this.
Yes. Pretty steep.
And she was up and down those steps all the time.
Uh-huh.
I mean, we kept her milk down there, and my
Wow.
dad would come home with a great big chunk of meat on his shoulder, and that went down there. We must have eaten a lot of stuff that weren't quite right.
Either that or you'd have to eat it fast.
Yeah.
I mean, it wouldn't last that many days even if it was down there.
What did they do?
Uh,
Was your mom always home?
oh yeah, she was always home.
And your dad?
He worked on the railroad.
And he was
gone,
hardly ever there.
He was gone 5 days out of the week.
Do you know where he did the railroad? Is it all in
Oh yeah, it
Pennsylvania?
went from Erie, PA to Renova, any place between there.
Renova.
Renova's down east of,
Never heard of it.
yeah, Renova.
When you guys went out to play, what would you wear? Like
What?
suits and stuff? What would you wear when you'd go outside to play?
Oh, rags, I suppose, you know.
It didn't like
Oh, any old, I had a lot of old clothes, most of them were old, you know.
just beat up old.
Oh, I've seen some pictures of Barry, where he looks like he's in rags. But, well,
Well, you don't know.
we didn't have gym shoes or anything like
Yeah.
that I know of. No, we
You
we
just-
played out.
You just wore regular hard shoes then. Because gym shoes probably didn't exist.
Well, I think our play shoes we went to church in. I don't
Okay.
doubt it.
Yeah.
Wipe them off.
So that's a surprise to me because I thought for sure you would have an ice box, and my next question was where did the ice come from?
No.
And if it did, how much did a block of ice cost?
They didn't bring any ice to Irvine, I don't think.
Wow. So everybody essentially lived the same way, right?
Yeah,
You had to have a
yeah.
cold cellar.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's not good.
Did your first childhood home have indoor plumbing? I think I already know that. Did it have running water? Was it all pumped water?
Pumps.
All pumped. And then the outhouse in the back.
Yeah.
Do you remember what year you got regular plumbing inside the house?
Well, it was when Don was about. I think maybe I was out of the house at the time they got plumbing. I remember I went down there and I put up 2x4s and stuff and made a room for the sink and the commode. And I think Don paid a lot of that himself.
So, in that particular house, you think that you were older than 21 before there was a flushable toilet?
It could be around that time
Yeah.
anyway.
Okay. So, most of your youth, you had to go back out to the
Yeah, a
outhouse.
lot of times there wasn't toilet paper there.
Yeah. So what then?
Sears Roebuck, and that's
Yeah.
awful.
That's slippery.
Slippery, yeah.
Well, what if you didn't have that? I mean, what if you had to have something, obviously. Yeah.
Well, we had that.
Oh. What was the most embarrassing thing that ever happened to you?
It was taking a girl to a prom, and my mother
Oh,
should
yeah.
have known that. And I didn't get her a flower.
Oh.
I didn't know about that stuff. I mean, she probably, I was just embarrassed to even talk
Yeah.
to her, I guess.
You like Flip Wilson?
Lady, you've got a homely baby.
Ugly baby. Bad looking baby. Now, generally I'd hesitate about passing an opinion about somebody's kid, but this was, even if I don't say it, it's an ugly baby.
God, what if you did that today?
What is one of the biggest chances you think you've ever taken in your life? One of the biggest chances.
Well, I was during the flood. We
Oh,
one side of the creek, and
Where?
it was near the forge,
Okay.
and they had a wooden bridge that was kind of shaken, and shaking in the storm. And we were afraid to go across that, but we went one by one, and over there was a little island. So you couldn't go any further there either, you had to come back over that bridge. So then a guy came up with a boat, he says, you guys wanna ride in the boat and get back to land? He says, no, we're going back over the bridge, so we went one at a time.
I never heard this story.
Me neither.
And that bridge did go out eventually.
Is that right?
Yeah, I don't
Wow.
know how soon.
You said it happened down by the Forge, which was in Irvin. And I knew there was a railroad bridge, and there was the automobile bridge, but I never knew there was a wooden bridge. Well, of course, you said it got washed out. So it sounds to me like Irvin was kind of a bigger deal at one point.
Well, Irvin was bigger before than it is now. Like Sulphur Springs used to be quite a resort place, they
Wow.
say years ago. They had hotels or motels there. Yeah,
Because they thought that water had medicinal
yeah.
value to it.
Well, I don't know.
Well, it sure stunk.
I said to Mom,
Kind of like Glenwood
I'll take
Springs.
you down to see Sulphur Springs. And she says there was a half-inch pipe with water running.
That's what it was. Yeah. This ought to for 200 people. What kind of social events did they have in Irvin? Was there anything that
They had a town hall.
they had dances then?
They had some,
Okay.
but I don't remember going to any of them. I remember they had a pie social there. You get a piece of pumpkin pie for 2 cents.
Because there had to have been something for people to get together and say, maybe it was at the church, I don't know.
People in those days used to, on Sunday, come visit. They called it visit.
Okay.
And they just go, you hear a knock on the door, there's someone who wants to come in and visit with
Uh-huh.
you. I mean, as far as radio, they didn't have any good programs on Sunday.
But they did the rest of the
We
week?
had the Irvin church there. That was quite a
Presbyterian.
Presbyterian church, built in 1839.
So your family never moved? I mean, your family, your mom and dad essentially lived there their whole life?
Yeah, and Dad kept promising, he says, well, we're gonna, when the things get better, we're gonna do it. But when the things got better, he says, this can't last.
Yeah.
So you just stay there.
But he went through the Depression big time. Well,
Yeah.
did you have much to do with it, or was it at the end of the Depression?
No, the
Or-
Depression actually went, I think, about up to the time of the war, 1940,
But the Depression started when?
like 28 or 9.
Okay, about the year you were born then.
Yeah.
So you were raised in this about frugality.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes. And I'm that today.
Do they have things like soup kitchens, or I mean, were people able to still during the Depression still take care of themselves?
Yeah,
enough?
they seem to, yeah. And you could go on what they called relief. And my dad was too proud to get on relief. And so on Saturdays he'd go up to Apple Naps and work for his milk for us kids. I used to peddle it
What did it come in? The milk.
in a glass bottles.
Okay. With a cap on the top of it? I mean,
Yeah.
just a regular.
Yeah, the regular paper cap.
You'd sell it or deliver it?
I delivered. I delivered a lot of places in the wintertime with that. Here I was like 16 or 17 at the most, and went out and delivered to Pleasant Township, North Warren, Starbrick, Irvin, Youngsville,
What was the name of the dairy?
Apple Naps,
Oh, so
Apple Naps.
they had to have a pretty big thing if you're delivering all that
yeah,
milk.
we, of course you would deliver one half of it one day, and I think you got milk twice a week.
Because it probably went bad.
I don't know. And they had cream and
Well, that's something that even I remember is that you would, if you had some milk, you'd pour the cream off the top before
Yeah.
you get to the,
yeah, it was about that far
Yeah.
down.
yeah.
That was before they got homogenized.
So, what, you probably don't even, you didn't realize that you were in trouble. I mean, not in trouble, but I mean that the country was in trouble with the Depression. You probably didn't know it because that was your life.
Yeah, well, I was 12 when they struck Pearl Harbor, but that didn't mean much to me because it's too far away.
Yeah, yeah.
But I thought everything is too far away for me to get involved in that or be interested in that. So, but we had it pretty lean. Dad had he got $5 a day, and then he'd say to Mom, "Where's all the money gone?" And she says, "Son," she started keeping track of everything 5 cents and over.
Yeah.
She had to prove it to him where the money went.
And your mom came from a fairly upper
With a bathroom.
with a bathroom.
Yeah, she went down a peg. She must have loved him a lot.
Would your parents say that you were more of a rascal or more well behaved?
Not well behaved. No, a rascal. Yeah, that's what Celia
Yeah.
used to say. You're a rascal.
I could see that.
And I was 23 before my dad didn't call me shut up.
Well, you were 4 before he named you. You're lucky.
He was thinking about that at the time. That's why I took. I had to get my birth certificate finalized when I went to work at the forge. I remember my mother was going through the hire guy there about it.
So if Willie holds himself down into the outhouse there, what kind of things would you do that would be considered rascally? Do you remember anything that you did that was kind of like that, or?
Well, they had a family there near Irvin, the Newbolts,
Yeah.
and they didn't want you to spit on their land or swear on their land and smoke on their land. So I had to take a big can of milk down there one day, and I met Miss Newbold, and that's exactly what I did. I just
All of them.
I lit up a cigarette and spit on the ground and right in front of her.
She must have gone nuts.
Oh, you did it in front of her.
Well, yeah, she was standing right there. But she didn't say anything.
How old do you think you were?
I was 23. No, I wasn't 23. I was probably 16 or 15 maybe.
The Newbolts were the rich people in town.
Yeah, they had money, but they didn't.
Oh, when you were pedaling, huh?
Yeah, well,
Tell them about the train.
the train, yeah, the train went through the Pennsylvania, what do you call it, Pennsylvania train?
Yeah.
Went through
Pennsylvania
their
Avenue.
land, and they had a right to stop that train while they get on, and if it isn't where they stopped it, they'd make the train back up or pull ahead.
The newborns?
Newbolts.
Newbolts.
Bolts.
Yeah.
Why
Yeah.
would he do that? Well, I mean, why would the conductor listen to that?
Well, because they own the land. They own the land.
Where
Yes, they
the
would be.
tracks went through there was their property.
And they were weird. They always had long black dresses way to the ground, and weird, very weird.
How do you think the Newbolts made their money?
I don't know
Huh.
how.
See, again, these are names that I've heard all my life, Jeff. So when they talked about the Newbold estate, and that's what they called it, Newbold
Yeah,
estate.
yeah.
And I think you had to go up Sulphur Springs Road to get to
Yes,
their house.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you went up Silver Springs Road, and then you took a road off to the left down into It was right near the creek.
So you were to their house, obviously. Was it a nice house? Was it a big house?
Well, yeah, I probably could have gone in, but with Munskard, but I never pursued it.
Did they have kids?
Huh?
They have kids?
Gates?
Kids.
Kid? No, they were Miss
just-
Newble, Miss Daisy. And talk about driving Miss Daisy, one of them's name was Daisy, and their gardener was named August Gross, August Gross, their gardener, but they wouldn't let him sleep in the house. He slept in where they had their plants. What do you call it?
Greenhouse?
Greenhouse. He slept in the greenhouse on a board. I saw the board.
Wow.
And then when
Oh my gosh.
but then he was the chauffeur too. So he was their worker. August Gross was a worker, but when he went to take them to the train, he had a cap, like a
driver.
and he put Miss Daisy in
In
the
the back.
back, and that Model A Ford, he drove them to the train, and it was just the same as driving Miss Daisy.
So there was only 2 women there.
Yeah,
No male.
no.
So were they sisters then, you figure?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Sisters.
Wow.
So there was a train station, but also the train would stop on their land, or was it the
It
same?
is on their land, yes. That's why the train had to do what they
They wanted
did.
to do.
When they were standing there, they had to stop by. I don't know if I ever saw it done, but
Two sisters. Were they ever? They were never married.
no.
Either
I
sister.
don't think, no, they were Miss. I think they built the church. No, wait a minute, they didn't build. I think they bought the church, because that was 1839 when that was built.
Jeez, I'd like to know
I think
this.
they owned the church.
I'd like to know the story of that, where it was just the girls left. So the parents must have died, and they just were there.
Yeah.
Uh,
They were very odd.
Jeff mentioned train station. Where was the train station in Urban?
Right by our house.
I remember the pump.
What?
I remember the
Oh,
pump.
Pump, definitely.
Can you imagine that, Jeff?
What was the pump?
Pumping water.
Like from the sink?
It had a spout on it about like that, and you'd pump it, and then the water would come out.
Like a waterfall.
Yeah, like a waterfall.
A little valley.
And so as long as you pumped, you got water. When you stopped doing that, no more running water.
And sometimes if you leave that in a certain place, it would go down and you'd have to re-prime it.
Prime the pump, yeah.
Yeah.
That's how we got water down on in Forge Field. We'd do that as kids, where we'd get the water so we had enough to prime it, and then we'd hold up a hand on you could hear it go
Yeah.
like that.
That's right.
That's
and
how
then
mine
and then
is.
you had to pour the water down there and pump like crazy to get it primed again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To suck it up.
Oh wow.
And I'll tell you, Dad had, he says, we wondered if this water was any good. Because it had little things in it, moving around. We drank that. Yeah.
Parasites.
And
like?
he had a sock over it and wrapped up, so yeah, that was the filter. That was the filter for it. And that smelled. And not only that, but the water was here and the outhouse wasn't too far away. So,
Oh,
you know,
yeah. Might be recycling.
you recycle yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. But sometimes when Willie was there, it stunk awful.
Did the water smell like sulfur or anything, or
No, I don't remember that.
did it have any unique taste to it, or don't you remember?
No, I remember Celia's was good.
Yeah.
Did you ever have to redig your outhouses and replace it someplace else?
No,
It never got full.
Never did that.
So they didn't come out and suck it up either. Whatever you had in it.
Well, it would, we never filled it up.
Well, yeah, it had bacteria in it to take care of it. Today,
Well, Dad used to throw some lime in there, I think.
so today, people come and get their septic sucked out.
Yeah.
The stuff in there. Do you have to do that? You've got a septic.
Well, that's when you have
Yeah. Every once in a while.
septic tank,
Yeah.
So,
and then you throw all kinds of stuff in there. But you're
so
careful.
describe what the outhouse looked like. I picture like just old barn wood
You,
planks.
you haven't
and
even
then,
seen an outhouse, huh?
well, I've
No.
seen outhouses in like Alaska where they're like this thin, and
They're square, like this.
so it's probably the way I'm picturing it.
Roof and a door.
Just
and then,
enough room to sit.
And then the sitting place, we had a 3-holer. And
A 3-holer?
a 3-holer, we had, in other words, 3 people could take your pick. Which one you want. And you look down in there, and one of them might have a spider web, and so you
So you
go
pick
to
the
another
other.
one. Yeah.
I'd torpedo that one.
Did it smell?
Did it smell? You bet. That's why he didn't stay long. That's why I got.
That's what you get a hemorrhoid.
How far from the seat to where it ended up?
Oh, about like that.
Oh, is that right? So
Yeah.
it's not real deep.
And well, it must have been a little further because Willie used to climb down in there and hold himself by his elbows.
Holy cow!
Why?
Just
Oh my gosh!
he didn't have his feet in it, so maybe he wasn't very old at the time.
What if he'd have fallen?
Oh yeah, what a way to die.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't get out.
I just wonder how deep it was then. Because if you did fall, you know, how deep? I wonder how deep
It
it
was
was.
probably 5-6 feet deep.
It had to have been deeper, or else how would it never have filled up?
Well, a lot of it would drain down in the
Well, bacteria eats it up
into
too.
the water lane.
So you had to have some kind of a drain so that the liquid went out
No,
into the yard?
There wasn't any drain.
No, I don't mean that. Like the French, like a regular septic system, it's got pipes that come out of it, so the
Oh.
liquid part of it goes down into the grass or
It was
something.
just whatever.
Wow.
Well, we never changed it,
I'll bet you things grew well around there.
I suppose.
Uh,
We got most of it in our water, I think.
how many houses or apartments or any place you lived before you got married? Just the one place? The one house, right?
I lived in one house. Yeah.
Before you got married.
Yeah.
Okay, then when you got married, you ended up in an apartment because that was the old post
I
office.
ended up in a bank building
Yeah.
in Youngsville.
I remember that too.
Yeah.
I remember that one well. The neighborhood is the same neighborhood that I remember then. There was probably what, about 4 or 5, maybe 6 houses on that
On
street.
that street,
And what was that called? The street?
Circle.
It was called Circle Street.
Yeah. And what am I on here? 318 Clearbrook Circle.
Circle, yeah.
Well,
Circle Street.
it used to go all the way around, and then it stopped. It never went back onto the highway again. It stopped.
I just remember
So it's a
it
semi-
dead ending there, where there was bushes at the end of the street. That's all I remember.
Yeah.
Huh. How often did you go to church or Sunday school when you were young?
About every Sunday.
Every Sunday?
I
Okay.
mean, didn't learn a thing.
How has your faith or spirituality changed throughout your life?
It wasn't too many years ago that I didn't realize that Jesus was God too.
Yeah. God, in human form.
Yeah.
I think you had a lot to do with that by your church in Erie, and you had them go to it.
Yeah.
And they
That's
didn't
right.
realize you didn't realize that you needed to be born again. And Mom kind of went first, and you followed second. Am I right?
That's where I felt I didn't do it myself. So I didn't feel like I was saved the same as she was. And I felt she went up and I followed her. I went with her.
So I have a follow-on to that.
Okay.
This is a pretty broad brush, but I've kind of viewed you as your belief is more out of fear, and Mom's is more out of love for God. Is that a fair characterization?
Probably.
Yeah, because you've always been afraid of God and going to hell, and Mom was more of the loving side, and you had different motivations. Is
Yeah.
that fair?
Yeah, but I feel better about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, before you came here, I said to Dad, someday he's going to pass and we're going to feel awful about it, but at the same time, if you believe in heaven and you think of somebody going to this grand place, like I made it to the finish line of life and I get to go here, like on this grand vacation. Problem is, you're not coming back. That's the thing. And if mom is on the other side, wouldn't you really want that for him? It's like, I want you to go. I want you to be with her, you know. And then your selfishness, because we only feel sad because of selfishness, that you've taken something out of my life. So, what is the most profound spiritual moment you think you've ever had in your life?
Good one.
Well, when I accepted, but I don't know, I did that a few times.
Okay.
I did it.
And a lot of
Most
people
people
do.
do.
Yeah, most people do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were probably in your 40s or 50s then, right?
Probably. Yeah, and that's right, it would be in Youngsville.
And here before that, you were lay leader of the church, took over when the pastor was out of town, you'd be you.
Yeah.
And mom was a Sunday school teacher, and you didn't realize that you really needed to accept Christ in your life.
Yeah, it wasn't works. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Did you ever think something was a miracle? Like God did that?
I in the last year or so, or maybe longer, I have prayed for things and I've been answered soon.
Yeah.
I says, where's my, I lost my, this, and I said, I really need that, and something like that, and I'm led right to it. It just answered every time, and that's another thing that increases my faith.
Yeah. What do you believe about God?
Well, I believe that he can do anything he wants to do, and I believe that he has given us a choice that we should know throughout our life whether we accept or reject God. If we accept Jesus, we're supposed to go to heaven.
Yeah.
And if we have no time for him, why, they say there's hell.
Yeah.
And you never know who's going to be watching this video, so I'm going to say what you said to me that was part of my seeing the light. You said, Dan, you live in Denver, and imagine a ball of string that it goes between Florida and all the way to Denver.
Yeah,
And on that, you put one little dot with a magic marker. That's your life span. Now you're going to have to go through that many lifespans to get to Denver. How long would that take? And then you get there. You're in hell now, right? That amount of time. You get there, and then there's another ball, the same size, and you realize that I'm going to have to go through that again.
yeah.
And then you get to the point where you realize there's endless balls of string.
Yeah.
And I chewed on that, and wow. But that's, I think people don't think about the length of time eternity is burning
eternity,
in hell. I mean,
yeah.
What comes to your mind when you think of death?
Well, I believe I'll go to heaven.
Yeah.
Well, you'll meet Jesus.
Yeah.
And you'll see things greater than you've ever seen on earth.
You'll probably get answers that you've always wondered about. That's the way I look
Yeah.
at it.
me too.
First job after high school.
Or Peller Milk.
Yeah.
I worked at the brickyard. I worked at a place down the river road 5 miles that I rode my bike to work. No speeds.
So when you finally left Jamestown, that's where Kermie became involved. Did Kermie's offer, kind of the offer that you didn't want, right?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
did it to appease him. When you first got the job at the forge, did you think that was pretty good money then?
Better. It was 85 cents at the forge.
You said hourly wage was 85 cents. How often did you get a pay raise and what was it?
The pay raise was 2 cents or 5 cents.
Okay, something about your first job at the forge was,
Timekeeper,
and you did that for how many years?
9 years, I think.
And how did you move on to something else? Did somebody advise it to you, or did you bid on a job?
I didn't bid. My first boss I had in the timekeepers was Penny Anderson, and he shot himself. So then Russell Crippen became and in front of all these people, he wrote on a piece of paper and handed it to me, and I read it out loud. He says, "No, well, I didn't know." It says, "Do you want so-and-so's job?" That was my interview. Yeah. And he says, I just read it out loud. He wrote it down, and I read it.
Explain what timekeeper was.
Oh, well, let's say you have a group of people in a department, 75 people or 50, whatever, and you had to keep track of everything that they all did in there. And I mean, you can't get to everybody all the time. I mean, you want to make sure they punched in, punched out, and that you go around to the machines, and they were doing a certain operation on this piece of metal.
And you knew it should take so long, or?
Yeah, well,
He's just keeping track of it.
it was already predetermined what it was worth, so they would, if it's worth an hour and they did it in 3/4 of an hour, they got a premium for that.
Okay.
And
Scorekeeper.
so you had to go around all these machines all day long. I went around every hour, and some of them didn't, but
How did you know
You didn't
that?
ball them out, or?
How did you know that they were a certain ways through something? In other words, that they were almost finished, they weren't finished. Could they lie to you about it?
they'd lie.
Yeah,
They'd
yeah.
lie. Yeah, but you had a pretty good idea. And some of them would be done at 9:30, working until 11 o'clock, and they're all done. They were that fast that they could do it. They were good machinists, that's why.
Did you ever call anybody on it? Like, they lied to you, and it's like, that's not true.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah. Well, you must not have been a very liked
No,
person.
Well, yeah, that's right, but yeah, there was one guy there, he says, he always made fun of you people upstairs.
Yeah.
That was, because I had a pen and pencil.
Yeah, yeah,
And he became president of the forge once.
yeah,
He was a machinist, and he was a good one,
yeah.
and he became president.
Wow. Where'd you go for your honeymoon?
Canada,
Aurelia?
Aurelia.
See, I never knew any of these things.
It was near Niagara Falls, right?
No, it's quite a ways up in Canada. They didn't have motels. If they had them, they weren't very many, and so we stayed in a cabin. There weren't any where we went, any motels.
Right.
So we stayed in this cabin, and it had message there. And it was Sunday, and so we got married Saturday, Sunday. So I put the quarter in, and I says, "My gosh, the bed's shaking." So I put another quarter in. No, it was massage.
Keep talking to me, Lord. I'm feeling it.
It was massage, not message.
What was originally the most difficult for you about being married or being in a relationship? Because once you're dating is one thing, but once you get married, things change. So what was the biggest thing that you had to adapt to?
Well, hers was after the honeymoon and everything, which was, I don't know, 10 days or so. And she says, "Oh my gosh, you got to go to work. You'll be leaving me, you know."
Explain the $1.20 story.
Oh, that's how little money I had. We knew of a place where you could get a hamburger and a drink for a certain amount, I think. And anyway, the bill came whatever it was we bought, maybe just a drink or a hamburger. I had figured out how much the bill was gonna be. And he says, I had $1.15, I think that was it. And he says, it's $1, it'll be $1.20. And I says, $1.20? You know, because I didn't have it. So otherwise, you know, it shocked me. I didn't have $1.20, I had $1.15.
So what happened? Did you get the food?
Huh?
Was his calculations wrong?
Yeah, he made a mistake.
Yeah.
It was $1.15 because I mean, they didn't have the tax then. Yeah, he made a mistake about because I knew what it was.
Get up and punch him. $1.20.
That's me for another nickel, but I ran.
Well, we both laughed at that afterward.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody in the place heard it, I suppose.
Yeah.
What was your parents' advice relating to dating or any contact with the opposite sex? Did they ever say anything?
Yeah, Dad says, don't do anything. He meant sexual.
Yeah.
If you want to, go to a whorehouse.
That's
My dad never gave me that advice.
Isn't that something?
That didn't get passed on.
He didn't want me to get in trouble with some girl.
Do you remember your first date in high school? Anything about it?
I think it was a girl from Garland.
Oh.
Yeah, and we went to a show. And I remember her saying, we stopped for some ice cream and a soda, and she says to the lady, do you have crushed nuts? I sat there laughing, she didn't know what I was laughing about.
Got blue.
Did you think that you were in love before you met Mom?
Yeah, that one I just mentioned.
Okay.
Yeah, I broke it up. We went swimming, and I was laying on the towel, and she says, "Come on, let's go in." And I says, "I don't want to go in." And she says, "Well, you know," kept trying to get me to go in, and I was being stubborn then. I says, "I don't want to go in." And then we got fighting over that, and I never called her after that. I never saw her. I saw her once after that. I liked her too.
Okay. How did you meet Mom?
Oh, over to Jamestown at the
Celeron, wasn't it?
Celeron. They had a big building there where they danced.
It was New Year's Eve?
That was New Year's Eve.
Okay.
Yeah, and like she says, I went around kissing everybody. That was New Year's Eve.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Mom's side of that same story, as I recall, she would see you when you walked, you would bob, and she kept
Yeah,
seeing your
yeah.
head bob around,
Yeah, and
and she was
kiss the girl.
attracted, and she was tracking you around the whole place,
Yeah.
and you were going around when the strike of midnight, you were going around kissing all the girls, because that's what everyone did,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then you got to her, and she said,
No way.
Yeah.
But the other one was better looking. I thought so at the time.
Yeah.
But I went towards Mom.
because you felt something, or-
Yeah. Well, what I liked about her is I had dated other ones, and I'd always catch them in a lie. And I'd go with her, and I never could. She never lied to me.
But that first night, you didn't know whether she lied or not. So what was it about the spark of Mom that the better looking one wasn't?
Well, by going with her, I guess. We went together a year and a half.
Well, that's my next question. What drew you to her? Just a feeling, or?
Oh, you know, that night I said to myself, I was kind of looking for the one I was going to marry. Isn't that funny?
Wow.
Mom said that too.
Yeah.
Went home and told her mom that I think I met the guy I'm going to marry.
Yeah. And I was looking.
Huh.
I was ready. I was 21.
Okay.
I was ready.
No, but what I'm trying to drill in when you just met Mom,
Yeah.
the 1 minute that you met her, Why didn't you go for the better looking one? Why mom?
I don't know.
Okay.
Unless the other one intimidated me.
Do you know if you kissed the other one, or did you come
No,
to
I didn't
grandma?
kiss the other one. No, it'd make mom.
She was next in line though,
That'd
right?
make mom mad. Huh?
She would have been next in line after.
Oh,
Yeah, you wonder what would have happened if you kissed her and then moved on to somebody else, you know?
Oh.
But the fact that you couldn't kind of drew you
Wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
because that was the forbidden
Yeah,
fruit, so to
She was playing the game there.
and something about the telephone number or something like
Yeah, his
that.
telephone. She gave me they had just moved up to the lake.
Yeah.
And they changed the telephone number. She gave me that. Maybe she gave me the wrong number, or she gave me the old number. Maybe she didn't know they had changed the number. I don't know. There was something about the number, and I tried it, and it didn't.
Yeah, but didn't you at that time say something about if my number isn't worth remembering? Didn't she say that?
Yeah, I says, can you write down your number? And she says, if it isn't worth remembering,
Boy.
We're starting to pixelate here.
Yeah. Wow.
Fading away.
Okay, so once you were with her for a while, did you know that she was the one? And you know,
Well, see,
what-
we just hit it off
Yeah,
good. That's all I can say. We just had a good time together, and we'd always go out to eat, and we never went roller skating together.
how long did you date before you got married?
A year and a half.
Year and a half. How did you propose?
No, we just knew.
No, you had to give her a ring at some
Oh, I
point.
gave her a ring out by a garbage dump.
You romantic devil, you.
Yeah,
Hopeless romantic.
we drove out someplace, and I didn't realize it was a garbage dump, but it didn't smell. Been a poor time. He was 19.
And where did you get married?
At the her church in I think it was Faulkner. Faulkner,
Married by a preacher or?
Preacher, yeah.
Yeah, no, just those people.
preacher of the church.
And what was the wedding like? In other words, just simple and
Simple. Well, we went back to Grandma Nordine's, and she had the stuff, and few were invited. And
what do you remember most about wedding day?
wedding day,
I mean, Willie was there, right?
yeah.
He was your best
He was the
man.
best man, yeah.
And the other girl that was there that night was the matron of honor.
Yeah.
Okay. Of all the places you lived, which one was your favorite?
Probably the last one. Well, I liked the first one too. I liked the layout of that house. It might be the first one.
In Inglewood?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was going to guess the second one.
I would too.
Yeah. Well,
You had that garage that was painted all perfectly.
is that the second one?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was the second one.
That
Yeah.
was called what? Something Estates.
Golf View. Yeah, well, you didn't see the golf,
Yeah.
but they had
Right.
golf.
That's what
View.
it was.
Right.
Golfview
And the
Estates.
first one was Overbrook Gardens, which I never
There was
saw.
no gardens.
And this one is Waterside
Waterside Village.
Village.
I know sometimes when I was a kid, you had just gotten off work, you come in the house, and I hit you right away. Dad, I need something. Do you ever remember that happening?
Like your mother used to say, I'd come home from work and she'd say,
Yeah.
spank the kids.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm not mad at them. but spanked them for some reason.
Did you have a favorite treat that you liked to buy yourself at the grocery store or soda shop? You
Ice
know,
cream.
Ice cream. Did you ever take piano lessons?
One.
From your mom, right? Your mom taught piano, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you only had one.
I went, bo, 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 bo. I thought, no, this, I'm going out and play. I thought, how long is it going to take me to really play something if I go like that?
Tell them how you killed a cat once.
Oh, yeah, we were coming down North Main Street, and I hit this cat, and I got out, and the cat was laying on its side with his tongue hanging out, and I had a tire iron, and he raised his head up like that, and I immediately banged him on the head, and he got up and run. Yeah,
That's like a cartoon.
yeah.
I'm not going to take another shot.
My gosh.
Jeez,
What a tough cat.
I revived him. I mean, if that would have been a person, I'd probably done the same thing. My reaction was hit it,
Oh my
and then a guy shot that.
What inventions do you remember during your life that you know, as you were growing up, that's pretty good? Like television, probably, because you said you saw that at the World's Fair, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
1940, 39 or 40. Yeah, inventions.
So when do you think we had our first TV? Because it had to be like 56, 57?
I was going to say it was like in the middle 50s.
Yeah.
And we didn't get very good reception till later on.
And I remember that TV always went off at like midnight or something.
Yeah.
They'd sing the national anthem.
Well, they
and-
have a test pattern.
yeah, this
They'd play the anthem too, wouldn't they?
yeah, they play
Yeah.
that, and they play the other one.
To have a flag waving.
Yeah, they took the blue from the skies and a pretty girl's eyes and a touch of old glory too.
And gave it to the man who proudly wears the U.S. Air Force blue. The U.S. Air Force blue.
What was your first impression of the Nordines? Fred and
Oh, he was pretty cool to me
yeah.
first.
Fred wasn't very nice to me.
Why do you say that?
He just sat and Sharon didn't say nothing.
Why?
He was kind of a guy.
She was kind of like Marilyn. She was okay,
Mhm.
you know. And of course, Marilyn and her dad never hit it off very well. I think he was jealous of her for what she could do. She could take shorthand and type, and she was quite talented.
Yeah.
And singing this and on stage and stuff. And he probably wanted a boy and got a girl.
Marilyn was the pride of my life. I just loved her. I still do. I'm a nasty woman.
And
I think she was really smart. Now that I look back, when you're going through all these things, I never thought about what she did, like making us sweaters and clothes and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And I asked Emma, because she knows all kinds of stitches and all these things, and that's why I said, how much did Mom know about this? And she said she was the best.
yeah,
So
yeah, she just took it as, I mean, this shorthand that she could take from a, you know, this,
Yeah.
this means how you doing, and
Yeah.
this means,
yeah,
and she could take that from the,
and she used that when she was the secretary.
Yeah,
Take
yeah.
dictation from Matthews and.
yeah,
I mean, when you look at all those scribbles and read that back, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Now, you said you worked a lot. Was that your choice?
well,
Or did
I
you
wanted
feel like you
money.
had to?
I never got an allowance.
Okay. That was one of the questions I was going to ask.
Yeah,
you.
so
Did
I
it-
mowed 10 lawns.
Wow, that's a lot.
10 lawns, yes. They were the most, the biggest one was 50 cents, and the rest were 25. But it was a push mower with
No motor.
No motor. Yeah.
That wouldn't have been strong.
So like I say, I was always working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First car you said was DeSoto. Is that right? Oh no.
The first car, well, of course I drove Dad's car, the 33 Dodge, I think. And I drove it to school several times, and of course he was away.
What was the car that everybody envied? Like today it'd be like a Corvette or something. What was?
Well, it was a 57 Chevy.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Still is today.
We got so caught up in doing this interview stuff, Dad just reminded me that we got to get going to church, so let's go. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing fine. How are you? Drinks would be on you.
Drinks on me.
You know, I'll be 94 in April. Yeah, I wish they'd pick up a little. So would you.
Making a movie.
I gotta say hello to Mike too.
Okay, so we're done with church. It was good to see everyone. And now it's time to eat. So we could go to Outback, maybe Wendy's. My favorite place is out there, that Maiki River restaurant, or whatever it is on the water. Or we could go to Dad's favorite place, Peaches.
Don't make me laugh.
Looking back, what do you wish you had made more time for?
A little bit of it would be for you guys, because I realized I was spending a lot of time on my houses.
Oh, this is a question from Lori. Was there anyone you were afraid of, like a bully, when you were growing up? No?
I didn't fear anybody. I wouldn't allow that. I just make me mad if someone was, and so I got, you know, when I was working a lot when I was a kid, so I was pretty strong. And I know we had a thing in gym once where everybody got in the middle and you try to throw the other guy out. And I don't know if I ever got thrown out or not.
Like the sumo wrestling?
Yeah, I mean, you just get a guy and try to throw him out of the ring. One day we got the coach. Someone spit on the floor, and he says, "Who spit on the floor?" Nobody admitted it. He says, "I'll get the one that did it." So he turned us all over and whacked us all. And he says, "I got him."
Wow.
What did
Did you know who did it?
I don't know who did it.
Oh, because boy, you'd be mad at that guy that didn't admit it.
Yo, he had a big paddle. He couldn't
wow.
do it today, but
Wow.
and we all got. He said, "I got the one that did it."
Did you have any nicknames when you were growing up?
Monk was
Monk?
a big one.
Yeah.
Willie was Crockhead. Remember that?
Crockhead.
Crockhead.
Yeah.
Stinky Sandberg. He says, "I wish you wouldn't call me that." And oh boy, did he call me that.
But you had names for everybody in the neighborhood.
Oh yeah, Toot Dyer.
Yeah, Toot Dyer.
And Bill Applelap kissed the girl and she vomited. And we called him Vacuum Lips.
Okay, that's a wrap. The best of Dad and a little bit of Mom sprinkled in. 15 hours of video boiled down to 1 hour. Special thanks to Dale and Jeff for writing and asking the questions and capturing it all on video. My role was to then boil that down to make it an hour long, and that's what this is. I think we'll do another one sometime, but that's it for this one. Have a nice day, and Merry Christmas.
Say Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
They're hot. See how hot they are. And we're going to be freezing.
Does this say record?
Yes.
Stand by.
No, that was just a test. Okay, let's do it again. Oh, damn. That's nice. That's nice. Well, aren't you, wait a minute, before
I'm trying
we
to
start.
suck it in, hurry up.
Okay. Aren't you guys going to do the leg thing?
Okay, right leg up.
There we go. Perfect. Thank you. Not a picture unless we have the leg thing.
And we call them vacuum lips.